episode number 31. My name is Boogie Bentley.
I'm Vols JP.
And I'm Armaine.
We are at Talkin VAWLS_pod, VAWLS, on Facebook and Twitter. Also, just want to let you guys know before we get going, we are giving away a $50 Amazon gift card via the S&B network. We're going to do that once we hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you're not a subscriber on the S&B network, be sure to jump over. Even if you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher or a podcast platform, jump over to the S&B network on YouTube and be sure to subscribe. And then we're going to give that thing away. There's a couple of things you need to do, but just jump on Twitter, find at Snake and Boogie. The tweet is pinned to the top. Quick, easy, and we're going to email out that $50 e-gift card. Let's get into it. Number 17, West Virginia 40, Tennessee 14. Not a lot of positives, guys. The floor is open. Don't everybody speak at once.
Just another day as a Tennessee Volunteer fan's all I can say.
Yeah, I was disappointed in it. Not really much more to say. Not surprised that they lost. Kind of not even really surprised that it was kind of became lopsided, but not a lot of positives out of it.
Man, some people were texting me, and I saw some tweets, and people saying, "Man, what's going on? What's like?" Almost like they were surprised. Saw a lot of people that were mad, and yeah, we picked this game to be. I think I picked it to be a 7-point game, something along those lines. I'm like Rocky. I'm not surprised they lost. I was a little surprised by the margin they lost by, but you got to look. Late in the game, Tennessee goes down. Obviously, they're going for it. If they score there, it's 21. West Virginia scores late, but still, it's a blowout. But to those people that were mad, and it's like, are you surprised? Like, somebody said, what's going on? I said, Tennessee's just not a good football team right now. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. And to go back to one of JP's favorite lines, Jimmy's and Joe's before X's and O's. And I do think you got to have a good football coach, but Tennessee just does not have the talent right now. They don't. They're just not there.
No, it's obvious. I mean, it is absolutely obvious. And all that you have to do is turn on Alabama or Auburn or any of those teams and look at it and just see LSU. I mean, they dominated, and it's because of the talent level that they've got, and Tennessee doesn't have it. And there's 4- and 5-star recruits down there, but I don't know. I mean, there's a mix there somewhere that has caused those kids not to be able to develop. Either they were completely overrated, they haven't developed coaching. I think it's a combination of all of it. I think there's some of them that have truly been bust, but I think there's some of them that if they'd have received proper coaching, proper strength and conditioning over the last three or 4 years, that we'd see a difference in them. But Pruitt's got a hard road to go. I can just say that, because there is not a single defensive player on that team that I think would probably start for 75% of the SEC.
Well, I think it's a mindset too. He's got to establish, and it's cliche to say this, but he has to establish a winning mindset. And I think it was so clear when he went for it on 4th down. And whether you agree with that call or don't, they ended up scoring a touchdown. Whatever, I would have kicked the field goal all day long, down 10-0. But it's a mindset. And how many times do you see in a game players, every time it's 4th down, they want to go for it? Every time. Every single time. Well, not Tennessee. They were just faces down, walking off the field, and Pruitt was freaking pissed, man. He was pissed that that's their mindset, that we'll just take the 3 and go on. No, man, he was fired up, and I think that's clear. That's that mindset. They don't have that winning mindset.
I agree, because you go back over the last few years, and every time it was a close one like that, I go back to Oklahoma a few years ago, or down one inside your 1 yard line and kick a field goal. That mindset, like that's what they're used to.
Yep.
They know they're gonna kick a field goal, and I'm like you. I said take the points, but I appreciate that he showed some guts right there, and hopefully that'll resonate with them at this point, because they were coming off the field right there, but it's going to be a process, and it's like we said last week, it's going to be more about progressing as the season goes along, and we got a starting point. You're not starting out in a respect. I'm glad they started with West Virginia opposed to ETSU. That way you kind of know where you stand immediately. There's no false pretenses. You're not going to destroy an FCS team and feel good about yourself. You went against good competition, and there were some positives, but you see where you stand, where you need to get to. So I think that was a good thing starting with West Virginia.
Yeah, I think so too. I know that we could have played a FCS opponent, and we could be 14-0 in the conference, or the conference could be 14-0 instead of 13-1 after the first week. But I think in the long run, I think that it helps to get this game over with, because we do see, unfortunately, the deficiencies that this football team has, and it's glaring. I mean, there's no team speed. I mean, I know that we were in a brand new system on both sides of the ball, and I think that definitely hurt us on defense. I think that made us look slower than probably what we really are. But we just don't have anybody that can just take over a football game on that side of the ball. I mean, we were seeing there, especially in the first half or in that first quarter, I mean, West Virginia's linemen were just living in our backfield. I mean, that first play of the game, I was like, holy smokes. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, Kennedy just absolutely whiffed on that nose man and almost got Garantano decapitated. It's like,
Kennedy
really?
looked lost. He looked lost the whole first half, but I think he maybe did a little better going into the second half. And this, I'm gonna completely change gears here, but it's because you brought up Kennedy and the line. You guys were both pretty pissed with the play calling, and I'll let you go. I'll let you go first. What Rocky? What upset you so much about the play calling? What didn't you like? Were there any bright spots to the play calling, or what do you think?
Yeah,
And then I'll retaliate.
I think as the game went along, I thought the play calling got better. I thought they adjusted, but then I thought the I thought the 3rd and 4 call when Tennessee was driving down 10-7, I thought that changed the whole momentum of the game right there, because they were throwing it well. I understand on 2nd short, try to run it. I get it. But West Virginia's been stuffing that run the whole game, and then you're going to turn around and run on 3rd and 4. Bad play call right there, and you were throwing on them. And there were, like I said, I thought it got better as it went along, but I don't think they utilized. I think they could have thrown more than they did, and Jordan did a good job. He really did, and they adjusted with the running, but very, very inconsistent play calling, and that's not supposed to be a good defense that Tennessee played on Saturday. So if that was a good day, so to speak, scoring 14 points on a bad defense, then it's going to be a really rough year on the offense. But, I mean, Garantano, it's like he's tough because he got nailed back there some. And I don't know. I think Tyson Helton's got a lot to build on right there. I think there were some high points, but they're very inconsistent.
I think
For sure.
that's a fair assessment. I think your assessment on Saturday in the text was a little more aggressive than what you just said there. So I thought maybe we could have some argument back and forth, but I think that's a very fair assessment. What I like that he did do was with the running game, that interior offensive line was getting destroyed. And I think you saw him realize that, mix it up, start running those little sweeps. And I saw some people complaining about those sweeps. I thought they had some success with them. I thought they had some success running outside. I Tennessee should never call one of those stupid bubble screens ever again in the history of football. They can't run them. They can't stop them. And maybe that's the Jimmys and Joes. When you throw that bubble screen, you have got to be able to block on the outside. You have to. If you don't, you're out there on your own, and it never works. I hate that play call. I agree with you on that third down. Was that at the end of the second quarter?
Yeah.
Because that's where the momentum completely changed because they got stopped there, and then West Virginia went right down the field and
kicked a field goal.
Yeah, and that completely changed the momentum. Then you go in the locker room, you got the weather delay, and I think that just made things worse. But that's where the game completely changed, was on that call. And it's not really fair to put a game on one call, but bad play call killed all the momentum they had. So I mean, I agree. I can't really argue with what you had to say about the play calling. I just think a lot of times it's easy to put a game on. Somebody on this podcast does it every season, put it on the offensive play caller, but that's what'd you think?
Well, I
of
mean, you can only, and not to jump it, but I mean, the line in the interior was doing nothing, so he did adjust that and went outside. I thought the pitches were effective. It started getting some yardage. I mean, what can you do? I guess in his defense, what can you do when your interior line's just getting manhandled the whole time?
It handcuffs you.
But that doesn't at the same time. I don't think the play calling was great by any means, but he did get better with it. But there's a lot to improve on.
Early on, West Virginia was bringing heat every third down, and man, all I kept saying was, "Can we not just run a screen play with just once?" They would have torched them, man. They were bringing everybody, every third down passing situation. They brought the house. And golly, it took forever to finally get a screen to one of the running backs.
I thought Helton should have thrown it more. I don't understand why that we didn't utilize Callaway and especially Jennings more. I mean, Jennings caught 2 passes. First pass he caught, he drug about seven defenders about 8 yards, and we threw to him one other time. Callaway was open every time, but it's like that we wouldn't go to him, especially in critical situations. And correct me if I'm wrong, but on that second quarter drive when we're down 10-7, if I'm not mistaken, what's his name? Number 9, the running back, Jordan. I think that he went for 8 yards on first down.
Yep.
And then we had second down and 2, and we ran that stupid bubble screen.
Yep.
And 84, I think it was Palmer, got tackled for a 2-yard loss. So then he turns around on 3rd and 4 and runs it again with Madre London, who is a straight downhill, probably 2 to 3 yard, most of the time that appears to be what he's probably going to get. He's not going to.
Why not do that on second and 2 instead?
Exactly. I thought 3rd down and 4. I thought right there that was obvious, a passing down. And when you got big receivers like Jennings and Callaway, I don't understand that. And the only time that we even targeted Dominic Woods Anderson was on that 4th down touchdown. That was the only pass he got.
That's something I wanted to bring up too. Is I thought they were really going to utilize Wood Anderson. He was relevant other than the touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that it gets better because the defenses that we play are definitely going to get better. And like Rocky said, if 14 points against a West Virginia defense is all that we could muster, Oh, heaven help us.
But my question was play calling. I don't think you can put that 14 points all on play calling. But what you're saying is right. West Virginia's defense is not any good. So what's going to happen when you get into that SEC schedule and you're playing teams like Georgia and Alabama and Florida and Auburn? It's
Yeah,
going to be rough. It's going to be rough.
I know because I mean, how are how are we going to score on those teams when they're going to be absolutely living in our backfield if
You
we
got
don't do
about two
something?
weeks. You got about 2 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah,
That's
you
all I
do.
Well,
know.
I think if it's something that kind of surprised me, we heard about how we're going to see a fullback and stuff, but when West Virginia, especially early, I thought, why not keep an extra blocker back there, because it seemed like the running back was going out for the pass and stuff because they were getting tremendous pressure then. But I think the line got better as the game went along. I thought that was at least a little bit of a positive sign. Looks like when they kind of moved some guys around a little bit, they started getting going. But like you guys said, that bubble screen, has that played outside of the Cal game and whatever year it was, '07? Has that play ever worked? I mean,
It doesn't seem to.
and it's a dangerous play because if that cornerback picks up on that, that's a pick six right there. It's a dangerous play, and especially when you're taking two steps and getting drilled before you can even. I mean, I don't know. I thought Callaway did well. Jennings, when he got you, I thought Palmer looked good. Tight ends, it kind of surprised me they weren't utilized more because, like you said, that we heard more about how they were going to be utilized. I just think there's a lot to learn from that game, and like we said, if that was considered a good day, 14 points against that West Virginia defense, and there's a lot of bad days ahead.
Yeah, Helton's going to have to improve. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, that we need to fire him or anything like that. I mean,
Not yet.
but
Anyway,
but man,
it's early.
I mean, he's going to have to dial up something better than that. And I know we can sit here and say the offensive line wasn't blocking, but I mean, certainly after that first quarter and they got settled down and stuff, they did improve. I mean, Jordan had 120 yards rushing on 20
Mm-hmm.
carries. So I mean, something was working there, and the offensive line was doing at least a okay job. And I think what Garantano ended up getting sacked twice. Uh, I think is what they ended up crediting him with was 2 sacks. But so they did improve. But yeah, Helton's going to have to find a way to move his football more because it's not going to get any easier. I mean, I know we got 2 supposedly cupcakes coming up, and I'm hoping that we can build off of this. Whatever kind of moral victory we can take out of this, 26-point defeat to West Virginia. Oh, I
I don't
get
think
tired
there
of
is
saying that
one.
about this football program.
I don't think there's any moral victory you can take out of that one.
I think something one of our listeners brought up in the comments on YouTube, and if you're listening to this, drop us a comment, give us some talking points. We love interacting with you guys. But about that offensive line is look at the injuries. How many of those guys didn't go through a full camp? And yeah, they were healthy to start the year, but man, it takes some time to get 5 guys, get in a rhythm, play one position instead of bouncing all over the place. How many practices did Smith even get? And where was Richmond practicing? We didn't know who was going to be where going into this game. So I think maybe 2 weeks will be good for them if they can stay healthy. Please stay healthy and see. I think it is promising to see that offensive line improve as the game went on. That's something we didn't see in the past. We never saw improvement. We never saw change. It was just the fourth quarter was the same as the first quarter with that old staff. So I think it'll be interesting to see. We didn't even really talk about quarterback play. Man, Garantano, he looked good. The ball was delivered well. No turnovers, which is huge. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. Did you hear? I can't remember who I heard. Oh, it may have been Jordan, Tim Jordan. in an interview. They said, "When did you know Garantano was going to be your quarterback?" And he said, "Today." And they were like, "No, wait, you guys kind of knew." He's like, "No." He said they were taking the same number of reps. We didn't know. And the guy said, "Well, when today did you know?" He said, "When he took the first snap of the game." Like, I don't know if that was true. I was kind of surprised by that the team didn't even know who was going to be the starting quarterback. But on the flip side, it doesn't surprise me from Jeremy Pruitt.
I thought Garantano looked good. I mean, especially he took some shots early and it didn't rattle him. He threw the ball well. He read well. I mean, he missed a couple throws, but I mean, Greer missed some too, if you're going to go to that extent. So I thought he looked good, and I'm like JP. I thought they should have thrown more because West Virginia wasn't really doing anything to stop them on passing. And because the 3rd and 4, there is absolutely no way, based on how they had ran at that point, that I'm running that ball. I'm going to throw it again. And when they're hot, you got to stick with it right there. And again, West Virginia wasn't stopping it. I liked what I seen. I liked what I saw from him against better defenses. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. But right now, I really think the next 2 weeks should be cupcake games. Based on UMass last year, you never can take it for granted. But it's all about getting ready for Florida right now, and that's staying injury free and progressing these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I thought Garantano looked good. I was impressed. Honestly, I had no idea what to expect from him, but I agree. I mean, I thought that if we could get some better offensive line play, and if we could figure out how to stop somebody on defense, certainly from the way that Garantano looked Saturday, that's a quarterback that can win you some football games. But he's not going to be able to be a one-man show like a Cam Newton or something like that. So he's going to have some players that's going to have to step up around him. And honestly, I know that the offensive line struggled, especially there in the first quarter, first half. But I agree with what Boogie said. You've got to get some continuity there, and I'm hopeful with the way that they improved throughout the game, and then with these 2 cupcakes, hopefully the next couple of weeks that we'll see a much better offensive line come the Florida game. But if they don't figure out something on defense, it's not going to matter because it's going to be the same song and dance. We're going to be seeing teams just run up and down the field on us continually. I mean,
there was nothing positive about the defense. We can talk about the offense. I can pick out some bright spots. And if I was to tell you to name me one player or 2 players that stood out on the defense, you could tell me. I can tell you 2 right now. Rocky said their numbers about 48 times. That's 28 and 25. They stood out for the wrong reason, but they stood out. But there was no bright spot. No bright spot. When JP brought up Kongbo and said Kongbo, like, I didn't even know if he was in the game or not. You never
he didn't
even
play
saw.
a whole lot.
Nothing happened. That defense did not. They got no pressure. There was no push up front. I think they got credited with 2 sacks, but really those 2 sacks were coverage sacks. I mean, it's not like somebody came in and blew up the play. I just very disappointed in the defense. Not really surprised. Not really surprised.
Well, no, not from what we've seen the last two years. I mean, I that's where I am so. I don't understand why that people like Phillips, Tuttle, Kongbo, Darrell Taylor, who else we got? Um, even Batuli. I mean, he didn't do anything Saturday.
No.
Kirkland looked lost.
He looked slow. Is
Yeah.
what he looked.
And then don't even get me started on 22 and 18. Abernathy.
Abernathy can't tackle. He can't tackle to save his life.
I'm starting to wonder if he could even tackle me. I mean, and that's pretty bad. I mean, I hate it for the kid. I mean, I think he tries, but my goodness, I don't know. I mean, he cannot wrap up anybody on that first touchdown in the first quarter. He had a chance right there in the backfield to stop that guy for a 2 or 3 yard loss. The guy just goes right through his arms, and then the very next play, he misses the tackle, and that guy races 50 some yards for a touchdown.
There were several times throughout the day that the defensive play call had guys in position to make plays for a loss, and the guys didn't execute. And if I don't know if you guys watch Pruitt's coaches show, he freaking put them on blast for it too. He said that's a good call right there. We got guys in position. They got to learn to execute, and that's all there is to it. Execute.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm willing to give Flowers and Thompson and Taylor. I
Yeah.
mean those are three freshmen right there. I mean, anybody that doesn't realize that there's going to be some growing pains there is just not being realistic.
Do you feel like Pruitt put too much on them? There was a lot of
Um,
times they were out there just on their own,
he
and
did in the
man,
second half. I
he
didn't think
threw them
so
to the
as much
fire.
in the first half, but he definitely brought or tried to bring more blitzes to bring more pressure in the second half. But you can see that absolutely backfired because even when he did bring any pressure, we still couldn't get to Greer.
No, and then you got young DBs out there just getting
Yeah,
torched.
yeah. I mean, Flowers got burnt twice. Once in the once in the first quarter, and he overthrew Seals, but then he didn't there in the third quarter. But I don't think Warriors playing. I'm really disappointed in him. I'm starting to question whether or not that kid has the desire to actually be a good football player.
I don't know. He didn't have a good day on Saturday for sure, but none of the secondary did. But a lot of it goes back to if you let, especially a quarterback like Greer, stand back there all day, he's gonna pick you
Oh
apart.
yeah,
And the pressure was there was a couple times they got pressure, but overall he had all day back there, and you can't expect a secondary to be able to contain a passing attack like that when you can't get any pressure up front. So that was my one of my big concerns was defensive line, and it's still there. They're just not. I don't know if that line is so underdeveloped these last few years or what, but I mean, if you look, and I just refuse to believe that every single one of them's a bust. Are there some busts? Possibly. Yeah, absolutely. Probably are, but not all of them. It's just the defense it is what it is. And hopefully, I like Pruitt said, we'll be better by October. And I hope that's the case right there.
if
The
there's
thing
any
of it
players
is,
left by the end of October after
yeah,
that gauntlet.
I mean, you know, you're not going to see a passing offense like that all year long. Probably Missouri. But a lot of these other teams are going to pound it down your throat. And West Virginia average, I think I saw 5.1 yards per carry, and they didn't even have to run it a ton. So I'd say our front seven will get tested a whole lot more when you get to Florida, when you get to Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, and so on. So it's up to that front seven because there are going to be growing pains in the secondary.
I have no confidence in that at all.
Oh, I don't either.
They couldn't stop. If West Virginia wanted to run it down their throat, I think they could have just ran it down their throat. I think they could have done whatever they wanted to do.
I think they could have too. And it was just, it was a tough day. And a couple times early, something that kind of baffled me was, they was saying, well, Greer, he should have had 2 touchdowns. Well, if guys turned around and looked at the ball, it could have easily been 2 interceptions as well because he tried to throw in a couple tight spots, and guys just weren't turned around. And if they'd turned around, I think it could have been a pick 2 different times. So awareness, I think I'll be curious to see how the cornerback rotation. I know one thing: the cornerbacks that were holdovers looked awful right there. 28, and then 3 was at the end of the game, and I guarantee you I could have provided better coverage than what he did on that.
What was that, Rocky?
I have no idea what that was. I know that he had a real good series right there with that coverage and then jumping off sides. That was, he didn't do much to help his case for playing time on that drive. But I don't remember Taylor getting picked on a ton right there. I know Thompson gave up some gains, and the safeties, so they had a rough day right there. But you know, I was surprised that they were playing so far off. They were given a 10-yard cushion a lot of the time. That didn't seem to help. I don't know if they just didn't trust them to man up or what right there. So I want to see if they get more confidence to let them man up going forward. But, I mean, I don't know that it'll matter. If the defensive line can't get any pressure, it's probably not going to matter.
Well, what does it matter if you play 10 yards off the ball and still let a guy run right by you? How many times did that happen? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, that's what kind of surprised me. Like you said, it's if they're playing up press, you know, playing up jam them at the line and getting burnt, that's one thing. But yeah, playing 10 yards off and still getting burnt, what's the point of playing that if that's going to happen?
I don't know.
And I mean, that left them open. How many times they just hit a slant right there? It went for a big game because there was such a big cushion. So I don't know.
So the question that I have is, does Pruitt have any kind of different schemes that, you know, he can try to mask some of the deficiencies? I don't think so. I hope he does, because I don't know how that he's going to create pressure on the quarterback. I mean, that's going to have to be the players actually beating, a lot of times, the other guy one-on-one. Yeah, I know that we can bring blitzes and stuff, but, I mean, we saw it there Saturday in the second half. You're just playing with fire there and bringing it on a consistent basis. So, I guess my only hope is does he have a different scheme? Does he have some different play calls that can create some of that pressure? We'll see, but and to temper the expectations, if we live in the backfield next week against ETSU and following week against UTEP, that doesn't mean that that's going to carry over to that Florida game.
It does not. But these next 2 games mean absolutely nothing to me other than getting better in practice and, valuable in-game repetitions, I guess.
Correct.
Hey,
yes,
I mean, that's it. It's live bullets.
Yeah.
Yes.
More or less. But it's getting ready for Florida at this point. And that's what we keep saying, it's progression. I want to see a better team come Florida, because I don't think Florida is unbeatable by any means.
I don't either, but
wait 3
their
weeks
defense is going to be better than what West Virginia threw out there.
Yeah, they will. But they're adjusting to a new system too. So Florida didn't play anybody when they played Charleston Southern, so I don't think you can really go off of much right there. But just keeping away from injuries, progressing. I don't know if there's any way to mask what you've got. It's kind of like making chicken salad out of chicken crap, so to speak. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, maybe you see some guys step up here in the next couple of weeks. I still think you'll see 3 freshmen starting in the secondary, maybe even by the Florida game. If J.J. Peterson, I don't know what kind of shape he's in. I know he'd had an injury. He may be playing pretty quickly based on what we saw out of linebackers on Saturday. as soon as he gets in game shape, he may be in there possibly.
He could be. I just throw him in there and say tackle the quarterback.
What difference does it make? I mean, really. There was one point Saturday I was sitting there watching the game, and yeah, I was pissed off, but I almost just kind of chuckled, thinking, well, I guess Pruitt realizes what he's got to deal with now. Like, I wonder if he's just, man, it's like you said, making chicken salad out of chicken crap, and it just, that goes hand in hand with what JP said. What can he? There's only so much you can do schematically. There's only so much you can do. If you don't have the talent, it's going to show on the field. And I just think that's where this football team's at. And let's readdress what we talked about last week, our expectations for the season. Did your expectations change? What everybody picked? What was your predictions? I think, did Rocky and I both say 6-6, JP 7-5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Does that change? Or I personally, I still think this is a 6-6 football team. I didn't think they would beat West Virginia. I think it's going to come down to, obviously, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Missouri. If this team can get to 6 wins, maybe they pick off of South Carolina. But I still think they can get there. I do.
I think 6-6 probably best case. Based on Missouri's going to be a lot like West Virginia. That's a long time to go before then. But if that's any case, what's come, Missouri's going to light the scoreboard up. I think your ETSU, UTEP, and Charlotte, that's 3 wins. I don't think there's a guaranteed win after that, and I hate to say that. And, yeah, I always expect them to beat Kentucky and Vanderbilt, and I think they'll have a shot, definitely have a shot to beat them. So I'm going to stick with 5, but I think it's Florida or nothing. I really do. I don't see Auburn, Georgia, Alabama. South Carolina's going to be really tough. Missouri's going to be tough as well. It all depends on the Florida game. If they lose that one, I don't see 6 wins happening.
So what are you calling right now? 5-7? You changing to 5-7?
6-6.
I think
6-6. We ain't losing Florida.
I think we need to address this every week as the season goes on. See how our expectations change. What about you, JP? You still riding with that 7-5? Boy, you were on cloud 9 last week. Where'd that guy go?
I may even up it to 8-4 after this week's performance. No, probably if I reevaluate the schedule, I'd probably say right now 5-7. I'd drop 2, Florida and South Carolina.
Leave us a comment on YouTube. Again, if you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher or a podcast platform, jump over onto YouTube. You can search Talkin VAWLS, VAWLS, or S&B Network. Leave us a comment with your prediction for the remainder of the season. Do you think this team can get bowl eligible at 6-6? So what are you guys looking for this week against ETSU? What do you want to see? I guess both sides of the ball. I think there's some stuff about this offense that, yeah, they only scored 14, but I can kind of get a little excited and see how they progress. But you got 2 weeks. What are you looking for against ETSU? I know it's a cupcake, it's a win, but what do you want to see on the field?
I just want to see them. I want to see them execute. I want to see the line continue to tighten up. I want to see us be able to run in the interior a little bit this week. If you can't run on the interior against ETSU, you're not going to be able to run on anybody on the interior. Throw the bubble screen in the Tennessee River and let it float to the bottom. Let's see, there's supposedly some guys with some speed out there, like Latrell Williams, Jacquez Jones. I want to see if they can get worked in and see what kind of speed they've got. Hopefully, we hadn't heard anything about Chandler. I honestly think Chandler might have got concussed last week because they said they couldn't comment on the injury. And I know
he'll be back. I think he'll be back.
Well, I know based on training I've gone through on that stuff that if it's a concussion, you absolutely cannot comment on it.
He got flat out kneed in the ear hole, man. There was no doubt a concussion.
Yeah, I agree because they were trying to say knee or something like that. There was a knee involved, all right. It was just a knee to the head.
Yeah, to the old noggin.
Yeah, but let's see the running game progress a little bit. I want to see Garantano continue to take those steps, be the leader. I know they mentioned wanting to get Chris in. There's no reason to put him in unless it's a blowout. Let's let Garantano roll. There was nothing we saw that would warrant pulling him out and doing dual quarterbacks on Saturday. So, I mean, just continue to progress. See that line continue to develop continuity. Let's, get a run game going on the inside a little bit too. And I want to see the tight end a little bit more. That we've talked about getting the tight ends involved. I want to see that as well.
On the offensive side of the ball, I don't want to see any kind of negative plays. There's no excuse to allow ETSU to tackle us in the backfield. I mean, there's just absolutely none. So don't want to see any kind of negative plays. Whoever the quarterback is, I mean, I fully expect Chris to play. I mean, I know that we talked about this underneath the prior coaching staff, but how many times games like this, when these are the type of games that you should be able to use to build depth, that our starters were still playing in the fourth quarter because we were about to lose. This game should be over by halftime. Every one of the starters shouldn't even play in the second half, and you should be building depth, getting these freshmen, especially in the defensive backfield, getting them game reps, live reps to help them continue to grow. On the defensive side of the ball this week, I want to see somebody start making some plays. I mean, I know that we're playing ETSU, but we have got to find somebody that can rush the quarterback, and we should not allow them to gain more than 50 yards rushing the entire game. If they gain more than 50 yards rushing on us, then
it's going to be a long year.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, Tennessee just has to stay healthy these next 2 weeks. They have to stay healthy. And yes, I agree. I want to see 2 blowouts. I do, but healthy. It's like JP said: get ahead, get a lead, and yank the starters. They get them out of there, man. It's not. They have to stay healthy going into Florida, Georgia, the gauntlet as you called it earlier. Man, I don't even. What else you guys want to talk about? I didn't make notes. I'm not making notes.
I think an interesting point was made there. Last few years when we played these teams, you expect a blowout and to get some backups, some reps, and 5 minutes ago in the fourth quarter, there's still starters in, and finally, last possession, you get to pull them out. I'm the same way this week. I want to see starters out. I mean, where you could pull them at halftime. There's no reason to have starters in going into the fourth quarter, not even midway through the third quarter this week. And I want to see the same thing at UTEP in 2 weeks. I want to see starters out sometime in the third quarter. That's where it's got to start, because there's never been a mentality to blow out one of these teams. So I think it starts here. If you can blow these guys out, get some guys some reps. Let's see what we've got with these backups as well. And then, because Lord knows the last couple of years, based on the injuries, they've been needed, and they've just been thrown into fire against good teams. I just want to, and injuries too. But I think anything less than a blowout this week is a bad sign.
I agree. I mean, if I'm sitting here watching this game Saturday and I'm seeing ETSU's defensive linemen blowing up the interior of our line, I don't even know if I can even bring myself to watch the game starting with Florida.
Yeah, it'd be rough. I mean, it's one of those deals. I don't ever want to see TSU lose, but this is a week I want to see them get destroyed. And not in a case where they'll get injured. I definitely don't want to see that. But
You're
I
not
don't
gonna have
want to
your
see it.
ETSU hat on this week?
No,
Oh,
it's
come on.
no. This needs to be a bad blowout. I'm talking 60, 70 some points this week. I really. Sometimes the games call for it. This is one of those games you need to put up a lot of points and not put up a lot on the other side. I mean, if ETSU comes out and puts up 14, 21 points or something, that's a bad sign too.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying no more than 50. I would say no more than 200 yards total, and that may be generous right there. But
I agree. I mean, honestly, they shouldn't score more than 7 points.
Yeah, I'll give them a touchdown, whether it be off a field position, a turnover, special teams, something. But if they drive up and down the field, oh my gosh, we got problems. We got problems. Well, again, going back to West Virginia, it concerns me the fact that they could have ran the ball at will had they chose to do so. That's a major concern with what this team went through last year with stopping the run. And you got a passing team that can just run it down your. I mean, every time they ran it, and every time that when Tennessee comes in to tackle, and Pruitt again, just to go back to his coach's show, he would talk about having two guys in the gap and the running back they still can't get him to the ground.
I know.
I don't understand why this team cannot tackle. I don't understand. And it's one thing when you're talking about defensive backs. When you got a safety, he needs to be able to tackle. But when you start getting to the linebackers filling gaps and they can't make a stop, concerns. It's very concerning.
Whenever
I mean, it's all going to come back to recruiting. Go
It
out
is.
to recruit.
That's what it's going to take. It's good. It's going to take that. But it's like the old applying for a position in management, but you can't get the position unless you've been a manager previously. Well, how in the hell does anybody ever become a manager for the first time? It's the same thing. How do you sell the program as Jeremy Pruitt? I mean, they've been down for so long, so difficult to recruit. And I mean, I guess Butch did it. He just didn't develop that talent. So
Butch recruited. He dropped the ball quite a bit but overall his classes were pretty good. Pruitt's doing a good job on the trail right now. I mean, he's got a good class, and I think he'll add to it some good players too.
one thing,
Just go.
one big difference with the guys that Pruitt seems to be recruiting is the size of these guys. They seem to be a lot bigger. Butch. The problem with Butch is he would fill up, half of his class with, the 3-star speedsters from down in Florida that never seem to pan out. The 260-pound offensive lineman that he's going to develop into a 300-pounder that never happens. But Pruitt's actually recruiting some guys that's got some size to them.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing defensive linemen being recruited. They'll actually play defensive line, not a 260-pounder we hope to beef up and play inside. I mean, I think that's a lot of it over the years as they've just been undersized.
That and the lack of the strength and conditioning. I mean, there's no doubt.
That was the whole turning point in the program was when they let Dave Lawson go.
Oh yeah.
A few years ago, because up to that point, in Butch's third year, and they went 9-4, and that could have easily been if all the cards would have fell right, they could have won every game that year.
Mm-hmm.
But it looked like a solid program. Then you seen speed, seen strength, and then he made the decision to part ways with Lawson, and that program has not been the same since. And Fitzgerald, the guy that's down there, he just got his work cut out for him. It's a work in progress. Just 2 years of bad strength and conditioning. I mean, they look slow on Saturday, and it's going to require a lot of patience and time right now. Probably unlike any other time we've watched.
Well, I know what I look like after I've sat around on the couch for 2 years, so I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Man, I've been sitting on the couch for 2 weeks, and I think I've gained 40 pounds. I don't know why these linemen can't gain 40 pounds. I've not had any problem doing it. Of course, I guess they come back from a knee injury we talked about before we went live in 3 weeks. It's going to take me 3 months to go just to be able to walk.
Yeah.
Oh man, you think they look slow against West Virginia? Wait till you see that SEC speed. That's something man. It's depressing. It just even getting on Twitter, man, and the West Virginia fans coming at you about the game. It's and listening to the broadcast, man, it's such a joke. Tennessee has become the punchline. They have, and it's embarrassing.
It is
Even
embarrassing.
even poor Jeremy Pruitt. You know, if he was still at Alabama as the defensive coordinator, he'd be hyped up and praised. But did you notice how many times they like to bring up the fact that he was a high school coach? It's like, good gosh, man, the guy's won national championships with Florida State and Alabama. You don't bring up any of that. It's like that's the afterthought. All they wanted to go at was that he was a high school coach. And even the sideline interview to start the game. Just 10 years ago. Well, that's a long freaking time ago. 10 years ago, you were coaching. It's not like he was coaching high school last season. But it's just Tennessee is the punchline. And until something changes, they're going to continue to be the
Well,
punchline.
yeah, I mean, and I know Rocky don't want to hear it, from me, but the administration down there, man, it's all on them. It's all on them. I've been saying it for last 3 years on Talkin VAWLS. Administration down there has been an absolute joke.
Well, they have been. I don't disagree.
Well, I guess let's go ahead and make our picks for the ETSU game, and then we'll get out of here. JP, I'll let you go first this week.
I think that there'll be a whole lot of players play. At least I hope so. So I don't think that we'll score 60 points. So I'm going to say that we're probably going to score about 48-7.
Who's your breakout player on the offensive side of the ball?
Breakout
Not
player.
not necessarily breakout. Who do you think's going to have a big day?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Jeremy Banks is going to have a big day Saturday, because I doubt that Chandler will play. And then also, I read that Madre London may have a concussion too.
I didn't see that.
No, I hadn't seen that either.
So if that's the case, I don't think that you risk having Jordan out there a whole lot. So I think that you're going to see number 33. Man, that looked good to see number 33 running the football. It reminded me of Little Man Stewart.
Oh man, now you're talking about the glory days.
Yeah. But I'm gonna say 48-7 Vols over Randy Sanders ETSU Bucks.
Hey,
I'll
Coach,
say that's pretty close to what I was going to go with, but I'll say 45-7.
And who you take on offense for having a big day?
I think Josh Palmer. I think you saw signs. I think he'll get a lot of action Saturday. I think you'll see him put up some big numbers right there. And gosh, if we're going with two backs, I think Jordan will have another good game as well. I think it'll be. I would go with Palmer for that. I expect to see the tight ends get some more work this week as well.
Well, we're all going with a very similar score prediction. I'm going to say 42-7. If ETSU scores more than 7 points, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it. Pruitt and Sanders coached together at Florida State, so it's a reunion. Apparently, they used to play a little golf together. But I think Jordan's definitely going to have a big day. But I'm going with somebody different more of what I want to see. I want to see them utilize the tight end, Dominic Wood Anderson. I want to see him do something, not just a goal line touchdown. That's all fine and good. I want to see him making plays in drives, extending drives. Use some play action. I say that all the time. I've said it on this podcast since we started it. set up the run game, use some play action, and hit your tight end over the damn middle of the field. Why not do that? They never do it. It's like they'd rather throw those stupid bubble screens. But I'm going 42-7 Vols.
We got Boogie complaining about offensive play calling.
But it's not even Helton. It's freaking been going on forever. It didn't matter who was down there. But I don't know. Well, I could go backwards and really freaking start a bitch fest because that play was wide open in Butch's offense and they never would do it. But yep, 42-7 Vols. Anybody got any final words they want to say before we wrap this?
We going to pick a player to shine on defense?
Sure, we can. I don't have one. If you want to pick one, I'll just go with what you pick.
I'm going to say Alontae Taylor.
What's he going to do? What's he going to do? Not get burned?
Hey, he didn't Saturday. That's a start.
No, he wasn't. I don't remember his name being.
Which is good for a defensive back.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that Flowers rebounds. He kind of got a baptism by fire last week. I'm going to say that he'll have. I'm going to say he's going to have an interception this week. Much better game, and you'll see why they were so high on him this week.
You know, talking about these young freshman defensive backs, man, yeah, they are getting a baptism by fire. What does that mean if Pruitt can develop them? Look 2-3 years down the line, what we'll have in the backfield if he can develop them. But that's a big, strong if. I don't even want to pick a defensive player. Should I go ahead and pick Combo?
Yeah. Have his breakout game 5 years later, 4 years later.
I'll say this. We didn't say it on the podcast. I think JP may have brought it up during the game in the text. Shy Tuttle made some plays.
He did
Saturday.
Yeah.
He did. He made some plays. I'm gonna pick him to have a big game. Maybe he'll get in there and get a sack or two and some tackles for loss, some TFLs. But I guess that's gonna wrap it up for Talkin Vols episode number 31. Again, if you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast needs, do us a favor. Be sure to subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe. We're slowly climbing. When we hit that 1,000 subscribers, we'll give away the $50 Amazon gift card. Again, check out @SnakeAndBoogie to find out how you can enter to win. But that's going to wrap it up. I just got one thing left to say. Go Big Orange.
Jack Kerouac, he drank himself to death in New England, and I'd like to take his hand and say, Jack, man, it's okay. Now he's gone, and we're left to move along on without him. Songs howl like being poets at an arcade, soaking moonlit falls, unbroken past this inundated orb that we call home. And it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive. Black and white headlights pierce the coals, blazing arrows, burning me to the marrow. But fire brings peace as well as it brings fear. You're the only thing I hear, and I want that. made, soaking moonlit, smashed and broken in the sea. When we wake up each cold morning and the birds sing their warnings.